Welcome back once again to part 7, where we are swapping an S62 into my E46. Today's video, I want to show you my issue I had with the DSC pump, which is down there, and I want to show you this little guy right here. This is a Selector rod in which I modified. Let's talk about it. DSC, Dynamic Stability Control. What a great system by BMW. Until you have fitment issues. Okay, so this pump right here, you can see the end of it right here. It was right against the engine. Right against it. It was hitting it terribly. I did have a viewer tell me that, hey, you'll need to move your ABS pump. I'm like, nah, man, my ABS pump is right here. It's out of the way. It's in the passenger side. I forgot all about the pump for the DSC, which is down here. Now, in order to gain access to this area, I had to remove the entire DME box out of here, which looks like this. You have to remove all the wiring and feed it through to pull it out. Here's my chassis harness that I wire tucked years ago. You people asking me how to wire tuck these things, I'll show you right now because it's a great time. So instead of the harnesses running through here, I rewrapped the whole harness and I ran it through this rain gutter right here. And then I ran it through this body, and it normally comes out right there, okay? That's usually where this harness lives, is through that body channel. Okay, so once the DME box was out, I had to take this whole pump right here and push it away from the engine. That involved making some custom brackets. Right here's number 1. It bolts directly to the master cylinder, comes over, and grabs the pump. On this pump down here, there are threaded holes all around it. What we have here is one of my spare DSC pumps, and here are the threaded holes that I'm talking about. See that? Bam. They are all around the pump. That is what I used for that one bolt going through the brackets. And then bracket number 2 runs down and goes to a stud. It's so tight. There's a stud down here in the body. Now, the back part was the hardest, getting the back section mounted up. So this piece right here itself is just a clamp, and within it, I have the original rubber sock to kind of insulate and protect the back of the pump from harsh vibrations. Then it runs down and ties into a stock mounting spot right there. See that? I kept the engine in here because I wanted to install the DSC pump as if the engine was here. Every millimeter counts, so it would be dumb not to do it with the engine in. At the end of it all, I was happy with its location, but then I couldn't get these pressure sensors for the master cylinder plugged in, so I had to actually notch windows into both the rubber and the bracket. Doing that allows you to plug them in just like so. Now, originally, this DSC pump, it was down in there, approximately 1.5 inches lower, and it was a roughly 2 inches more this way, right against the engine. So there was a couple of things I'd keep in mind whenever I was moving this pump. That was wanting to keep this hose kink-free, because anything after this position right here, if you would move it any more this way, this hose would begin to deform and kink. So where it's at right now, the hose remains happy. Back here is a hard line, a brake hard line. And there's another one right there. It's braided. It wraps around and goes underneath. I had to bend those a little bit just for extra clearance right in there. See how close that is? It was just kind of annoying, but as you can see, I'm going to zoom in on this. We have room now. Look at that. We have a nice solid like inch plus right there. I can now remake a heat shield, stick it in there, protect the master cylinder and the pump and all that stuff. That turned out pretty good. Now I want to discuss the Selector rod, which ties your shifter directly to your transmission. And here we are underneath the car. Now, what a Selector rod is going to tie this shifting joint directly to your shifter in the cabin. It's going to go into there, and then it's going to go into your shifter. Now, as you can see, mine is roughly, I want to say, 1/2 inch too long. So instead of buying a adjustable one or one meant for something like this, I'm going to modify my own. Okay, so here is my selector rod. I went ahead and I cut it in half, and I removed about this much right here, roughly half an inch. That is going to shorten this up when it gets put back together. Now, to reconnect these two pieces, I actually put threads on both ends. I ran a tap through here on both sides, and then I went ahead and I cut these threads from a bolt. And as you can see, this will thread in. Now I only add threads to take up about half of that piece, just like that. Then this side will also just thread right on. About right there is where it bottoms out. I'm then going to force it to tighten together. That alone should work, but whenever you go to put the shifter in reverse, since you're pulling it to the left, this will be rotating underneath the car, and that could possibly loosen up this threaded portion. So, to avoid that, I'm going to use some roll pins like this, meaning I'm going to drill through both sides, and I will tap in these pins, and that will avoid this from unthreading itself. Now we have the parts all cleaned up here. This is a exploded view of how it's going to be assembled. Both ends of the rod are threaded. This section will combine them and then roll pins to make sure it cannot loosen up over time. Here we have some thread locker. I'll be using it on this piece right here, and probably also some on the roll pins. There we have it, our modified selector rod. Also, I did put a bend in this. You can kind of see it here. There's a slight bend in this side. That is to help clear the drive shaft flex disc, which is this right here. This selector rod was previously for a Gatreg 5-speed 323, so it was totally straight. They use a small Jubo. That's what this is called, Jubo flex disc. Now, whenever you go to a bigger Jubo flex disc, you'll notice that from factory, BMW puts a small bend in their selector rods to help clear the flex disc, because it will be about right there. Back underneath the car now, let's go ahead and see how this fits. Oh yeah, look at that. Looks like she's going to work out pretty good. The final fitment test will be mocking up this drive shaft flex disc. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. We got plenty of room. Should be good to go. Let's test it out. Overall, I am pretty happy with that. That is all for today's video. I think part 8 will be exhaust manifolds, And I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I'm just doing things as they come along. The first start will be after the manifolds go on because I do not want to be blowing flames right against the body of my car. There's no headers on the car right now. It's just straight open cylinder head. Exhaust manifolds. I have to make a new fuel line, do some DME wiring, and then potentially it is time for a first start. How exciting. Part number 8. I will see you there. Catch you later.